goes live pretty quick. So I think we're already live. Anyway, hold on, are we live? Yes, we're
There
live.
we
Look at
are.
that. So you guys, I'm so excited, and I know many of you already know Becky. She's been around for quite some time. She was probably one of the first members of Lead Up for Women in
Yep.
the very beginning. I met Becky before I launched my business, and she happens to live right here in my community in Eastmark. And the reason why I brought her on as our 24th Facebook Live chat today is
Awesome.
because of the wealth of knowledge that she offers in the area of estates and wills. And I mean, she has helped so many people in our community alone with HOA questions, CCNR questions, and has done a lot of research with the city. So this is an uncertain time, right?
Definitely.
Everyone's talking about it being unprecedented, and that's probably the only word I like to use,
Hmm.
because I'm staying away from all the negative words, right? Fear is freedom, panic is possibility. So we have all of this
Hmm.
possibilities available to us right now. How are we going to take advantage of this time? And I realize that we've been doing this for a while now. So our last Facebook chat was, okay, wake up. Like you've had chances to indulge in Netflix. You've had a chance to relax and do nothing all day. You've had the chance to play every board game you have. Like I haven't done any of that because I've been working my butt off still, but
I know. Me too.
right? But many people have had the opportunity to do that. And now it's like, okay, so you took a break. We kind of all took a break, right? Now it's time to really look at what's being offered to you, what's going on with the CARE Act. How can you take care of your family? How can you step up and show up for your life and your family? And how can you be active now in getting things in order for what you have going on? So, Becky, you're an attorney.
I am an
And
attorney.
I think it's wonderful for you to be here today to talk to the audience about what conversations are you having right now with your clients? You know, what kind of clients are coming to you right now and wanting to work with you? What are you finding that your niche is right now in this pandemic for how you can help people move
Yeah.
forward?
No. And honestly, I mean, first of all, thanks so much for having me on here. I always love, me to participate in anything that you guys are doing, and also be here to be a resource for, our neighborhood and everybody just in general. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, honestly, my normal clientele is kind of staying the same. So I stick primarily in the lanes of estate planning and then business law. And so, I work on the business side. I work with a lot of, small business owners, people who are just getting their business set up. Um, and then also people who, have been in business for some amount of time, but just need that, consistent guidance on the legal perspective. And so, gosh, I mean, there's just so much going on. We all know, I mean, you and I are both small business owners, so we're going through it ourselves right now in what's going on with the CARES Act and how to qualify and apply for, economic injury disaster loans, which every small business owner qualifies to, apply for that. Every single state and every single county has been affected by COVID-19. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no question of, are you in an area that's been affected? The answer is yes. And, the Paycheck Protection Program came out. I mean, we've been hearing about kind of what a, I don't know, disaster it's been to try to apply for those just because it's so difficult. And there are more questions, it seems, than we have answers for anything because it's changing by the day. It's changing, multiple times over the course of the day. So, as we've been going through, those applications are, they're out there, they're online now through certain portals. So that makes your life much easier. If you weren't able to go and be able to apply through your small business bank, then, there are a bunch of other places out there that, have access to, apply for that funding for
Mm-hmm.
you. So, It's just getting out
Absolutely.
there and consuming literally as much information as you can about the situation and finding out where the other opportunities are for things like that.
I'm glad you
Um,
mentioned that, Becky, because I think what I'm going to do in the comment section below this video today is I'm going to put a link of that webinar that we did last week
mhm.
that was all about, Debbie was talking all about the CARES Act. So she went over all the details of the EIDL loans, all the details of the PPP loans, and she's got some links in there for people to click on them. But you made a very good point, and I want to circle back on that. Very, very, very important to start with your bank.
Mhm.
Start with a small, your local bank. It could be a credit union. It could be, the bank that you bank at for your business or not. I mean, either way. There's also what's called disaster loans out there. That there's a hardship loans that different banks are doing now for
Yep.
individuals that aren't even business owners, just
Yep.
individuals that are having a hardship on paying for certain things. And
Right.
this
And those
morning,
disaster loans
mhm,
are, you can request up to $10,000 in almost immediate funding. So, once that gets through, then again, in theory, you're supposed to be able to get up to $10,000 within about 3 business days
yeah,
of that loan. So, that's another option because I mean, even with, the PPP program, we don't know what those timeframes are going to look at
hmm,
or going to look like as to, when you're going to actually be able to receive that money. So,
yeah. I'm sure you've been very busy watching all of this go down and researching it
mhm.
because you are one of those experts in our area, surrounding me and here, and people come to you for advice. So I'm sure you've been flooded with questions and have become a really great resource during this time.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, tons of questions coming in and just trying on my end to proactively put that information out there.
Yeah.
And one of the women who does some work with me as an of counsel attorney, her husband put together a comprehensive list of how to provide or I don't know, I can't talk right now, but how to apply for the PPP loans and
Oh, good.
do you qualify and everything. I'll drop that link in
Oh, good.
here because that'll apply to anybody, not
Yeah.
just people in Arizona. So
Yeah. So I think we've got that covered today for like the loans and everything coming at you. Talk to me a little bit about what you've been doing for individuals. You did this for my husband and I. Talk a little bit about, estates and wills and why it is so crucial right now because of the unprecedented time we're in that if you've not done it before, you should be doing it now. So what does that look like?
yep, absolutely. I mean, so on the estate planning side, again, my clientele is staying largely the same. I work with a lot of families who either are just getting started and they know that estate planning is what you're supposed to do when you have a family, and
It's
or
just the grown up thing to
I
do.
get a grown up thing.
You're a grown up now. Act
Everyone
like
gets
it.
I know. Everyone gets very excited about having adulted that day when we
Yeah.
finish up the signing and
Yeah. I adulted in my 40s. So
right?
go
Yeah.
figure. Yeah. It took me that long. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, all the way up to, like older families
Yeah.
who, just for whatever reason, you're in your 40s and you're like, "Hey, guess what I haven't done?" And so really it's those are still the type of people who are needing estate planning right now.
Hmm.
Um, much much more important, I think now are like literally anybody who works in the healthcare profession, because and particularly in hospitals, you're there on the front lines every single day. You're there being exposed to a highly contagious virus that is passed through droplets in the air. And, it's just a matter of time, unfortunately, before you're going to come down with it. And all you can do to protect yourself is, again, wash your hands, cover yourself up, um, social distance, but they can't because
Nope.
they're working in hospitals. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So I mean, really, as our healthcare is at the top of our mind, then it's those healthcare directives that are honestly the most important in order to get in order right now. So,
Mhm.
that's talking about, naming someone who will step in and be able to make those healthcare decisions for you if you're not able to. And then also, I've like having a financial power of attorney named as well. So someone who can get access your bank accounts, access your safe deposit box, access
Mhm.
insurance policies. That's basically just anything with regard to your, finances and any sort of property that you own that would be
Mhm.
controlled by that. Because, what we're seeing with this virus, though, is that it acts really quickly. So you go from showing no symptoms to
Mhm.
starting to show symptoms to, at its worst, on a respirator in a hospital, the next week. And a friend of mine's brother, twin brother, came down with it and is fortunately recovering now, thank God. But, you know, totally
Yeah.
healthy guy, no other, at risk factors otherwise, and went, from totally fine to what felt like breathing through a straw
Yeah.
in a week. And so, whereas otherwise, with other things where if you're thinking of like cancer or other long acting
Mhm.
sicknesses, you uh, we tend to be accustomed to believing we have time. Like
Mhm.
something's going to happen to me. I'm going to realize I need to get my affairs in order. My doctor is going to give me that spiel like, you should get your affairs in order. This is bad. But we don't even have
It's
time for
only in
that
the
now.
movies.
Yeah, I know. I know. It doesn't really happen that way ever. I
See,
mean, for some
it
people, I've,
doesn't, but that's what they think happens. And
yeah.
I have to tell you, going back to what you just mentioned about when my husband and I sat down and filled out that sheet that talked about, like, what are your passwords, what are your usernames for these accounts, I have no idea what any of my husband's accounts or username, like, if he dropped dead tomorrow, I wouldn't have had to get into anything. And I
Hmm.
mean, that's just something as husband and wife you should have written down and in a safe, regardless. I
Yep.
mean, that's one of the most, or if you are alone and you're not married, you should have it for your kids to have access, because the last thing you want is for everything you've worked for in your entire life to go into probate and to just be in the hands of the state, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have someone else that you wouldn't choose making those decisions
Yeah.
for you. I mean, otherwise, if you don't, um, if you don't do the planning ahead of time, then that's just, there is a plan for you. The state has one, and a judge is going to come in and make those decisions and appoint court appointed fiduciaries
Mhm.
to handle everything, and they're not free.
Yep.
So, you're just making the decision to allow that to happen
Yeah.
instead.
Protect
And
what's yours and get your house in order. That's what I always like to tell people, get your house in order. Make sure you know who's getting what. If you have like a buttload of kids like I do, and there's 7 of them and 11 grandkids, everyone's got to know what's going on when we get down to it. And so it was very, it was very heartwarming when Robert and I got ours done, because it was like we felt like, okay, so
mhm,
if anything happens to us at this point, it's very well spelled out of exactly what's supposed to happen, who needs to step up and do what, who's getting what, and what happens to all of our things. And I
yep,
just like knowing that there's not that worry. And I risked it for years traveling. And Robert and I used to travel together all the time. So if
yep,
our plane went down or something happened, or we were in a rental car somewhere and we got in a car accident, we were both down. So it's not like one person knew what to do with what was left. Our kids would have just been like, did they tell you what to do? I don't know. They didn't tell me what to do. Everyone would have been looking at each other. You know what I mean? So
yep,
I think you bring up a very good point today. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring you on today was really to push the fact that Becky works in California and I mean in Arizona and in
It's
Colorado.
Colorado. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're not in one of those two states, the message we're sending out to everybody today is get your house in order and research. She's going to drop links on the bottom of what to do with these loans, how to apply for grants, what documents you need to have. These are very, very, very low percentage loans that go out for 30 years that the SBA is offering. So this is an opportunity for you to utilize a loan that you maybe wouldn't have qualified for
Yep.
in the past. That's the other thing to think
Yeah,
about.
they've dropped so many of the requirements
Yeah.
now in order to apply. I mean, specifically the Paycheck Protection Program. I mean, there's no very little that they look into on that in order, I believe there's no personal guarantee anymore on that one.
Nope.
And that's amazing.
Yeah. If
That
you've
has never happened
yes,
for
if
an SBA
yeah.
loan. So,
No. And in franchising, all those years that I worked in there, every homeowner, their personal guarantee was generally their house, and
yep.
so they were personally guaranteeing all their property. In this case, for them to waive that, it's huge. They're waiving a lot of requirements that they've never done in the past. So I want everyone to let that sink in. This is a time where, as much as people are seeing this as a lack of abundance, there's so much abundance in the world right now for us to take advantage of and to tap into. So if you're not doing that, frankly, you're just lazy. I'm going to be honest. If you're not tapping
You're
into
missing
it
out
and you're
at
not
the
researching
very
it, yeah.
least,
And by the way,
like,
there's only so much money. And when the pot is gone, it's gone. And so you have to be one of the first adopters in getting in and applying for those. I think
yep.
I remember my husband's company applied before March 30th, and then their server crashed. So I'm going to also let everyone know, if you applied for the $10,000 grant for the EIDL before March 31st, you have to reapply because their server crashed and everything got dumped. And I think a lot of
Interesting.
people didn't know that.
Hmm.
So, very important information that I found out. And so, I don't want anyone sitting out there thinking, oh, I've applied, but I've not heard anything back. We need to make
Hmm.
sure that we are definitely taking advantage and thinking about what's best for you and your business. It's okay to be a little selfish here. And
Yeah.
especially if you're employing other people. We have
Absolutely. I mean, and the
several.
unfortunate thing is that it's a numbers game right now, right? So, when you're having to look at layoffs and whatnot, it's not necessarily because you don't like that person. It's that you literally do not have the clients walking in your door who were there a month ago. They're
Mhm.
just not there. So, I mean, how is that anything except a numbers game? And it's terrible. It's
It is.
terrible to have to lay off people or
But
to not be able to give them the hours you want.
yeah,
As someone who like deeply cares about their people,
yeah.
I see that in several of my clients, and I'm like, it's
It's
just what you got to
either
do,
it's either laying off
unfortunately.
a couple or taking down the entire firm.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine put it in perspective and she said, I have 18 employees and I had two choices. I either needed to step up and be the owner and lay off a few people that I told them, as soon as we're back in the saddle, I'll be rehiring you, or I was going to have to take the whole firm down, because if I were keeping people on, I was going to be running out of money. So for me, the important thing was to get rid of a few, be able to continue operating so that when we come out of this, they have work and a place to come back to. So I
Yeah.
think that's the responsible thing to do as an owner, because you're thinking about it as the bigger picture versus just the in the moment. And I know it's hard, but I also know that those people that are being furloughed and are being laid off, they are getting an extra $600 from the federal government a week. So they're going to be taken care of until you're
Yep.
able to.
And keep applying. If
Yeah.
you're one of those people that has been declined for
For their
unemployment
claims.
right now, they're totally overwhelmed with applications. And
Yeah.
so keep applying, keep being, I mean, I don't mean creative in like the
Lying.
lying about it sense,
Not
but
lying.
like
Yeah.
be creative about what you've lost.
Yeah.
Like you have lost a lot.
Oh,
And
and if you're a small business, you can apply for the first time ever. Did you know that?
oh, I hadn't heard that yet.
Okay. So here's another piece of information. This is great. If you're a small business, or if you're a contractor, so if you've gotten a
Right.
1099 or you're a small business, you can apply for any loss of revenue or income
Right.
as unemployment. That was never anything that
That's
we
oh,
did
that's
before.
interesting. I do need to look into that because I
Yeah.
mean, again, see, things are changing
So I
like
know
all the
they change
time. I mean,
every
lawyers
day.
can't even keep up on it
I know.
a lot of
It's
times. But
good information. And so it really is just, again, like streams of income that are there available, and the federal government is not asking you to pay this money back. They're giving you
mhm,
this money. So, Becky, it's been really great having you here today. All of the information that we talked about with the loans and all the information you're putting in the comment sections below, I think if I'm going to stress to everybody, all of this is free. We're dropping free information in its
absolutely.
resources. Take advantage of all the free information. Go back and look at every one of these videos that we've put out. Every person has offered free downloads, free consultations, free opportunities for you to even contact financial advisors, CPA, stockbrokers, attorneys, doctors, you name it. We've interviewed everybody. So you can grow your business, get the income you need to stay alive, and get the answers you need on what you're supposed to do if you have a company that has several employees and you're struggling.
Yep.
We really just, this is a time where we need to not shrink back,
Yeah,
but
we need
step
to come
up. And
together and lift up and
I agree.
work on, building that
Yeah,
business and family foundation
right.
so that you're ready to thrive as soon
Yes,
as this blows over.
absolutely. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Becky, my
Thank
friend.
you.
I'm so happy you're here. Thank you, Facebook, for being with us today. And don't forget to click below on all of her links. We'll see you
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.